Hey everybody, it is Gail, and this is Errata-Hate episode 73. Today I want to talk to you about contact cement, which is another adhesive I've started using in a lot of my projects, and I will be talking about it as it is different from Craft Epoxy, which I talked about back in episode 62. So, I found out about contact cement because my cosplay buddy was here back when cons were still open. Oh, quarantine. And she was using it to do some final stuff, and I was amazed. So the big differences going in before we get started is that Craft Epoxy takes about 24 hours to cure if you want it to be that really solid, unbreakable bond. Contact cement cures in about 15 minutes. Craft Epoxy, you only have to put on one side of the thing that you're sticking together. Contact cement, you have to put it on both. So if you, let's say you've made a big rectangle and you want to just, basically glue the sides together to make a bag. With Craft Epoxy, you would only have to put it on half of the side of the bag and then fold over. Contact cement, you'd have to paint both sides all the way down and then fold over after 15 minutes. Craft Epoxy, you do have to get everything stuck together pretty much immediately to get a good bond. I say 15 minutes because that is kind of the minimum. You can go up to an hour, maybe. I think it recommends 2 hours, actually, but I get distracted, so I know at least that it definitely still works after an hour. So to talk about these two things and how I use them differently and where they're most useful is I get to include something I just finished making, which is very exciting. Let me scoot back a little. So this, let me get him up here, I love him. This is a Bamf, and Bamfs are a character in the X-Men comics. They are little tiny nightcrawlers, basically. So if you've seen the films, you know about Nightcrawler. These little guys are minor demons, and they're blue or they're red, and the blue ones have all sort of promised to be Nightcrawler's buddy. And all they say is Bamf, and they can teleport, which is what all the smoke is, and they love to drink. They steal Wolverine's beer all the time. So I made one of these last year sometime, late last year I think it was, to gift to my local comic shop, Books with Pictures, which is doing deliveries in the PDX metro area during quarantine, and they also will ship stuff to you. Plug, 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 plug. I'll try to remember to link in the basement. But I made one for them, and I really enjoyed it because I've started doing these custom figures a little bit, and I've really gotten a kick out of it. And so Creators for Comics is a Twitter that was built to organize auctions to help raise money for a nonprofit that supplies needed funds to local comic shops and bookshops. So I put up a picture of the previous Bamf, and I said, bid on it, and I'll make it for you. Somebody bid on it. They made the donation. I made the Bamf. So here we are. So the big thing here is that this is a really good explanation on my end about where I think epoxy versus cement works best. So first of all, let's pop him off his base, because he does come off the base. I'm very proud of that. Woo! So the way that I make these is, the way I get him to stand up is I stick magnets on his little feet, and then in this case I stick it on his tail, and then I put magnets on the base down at the bottom where he stands, and then also, if you can see it, you can kind of see it, there's a little magnet on the standy part that connects to his tail so he stays upright. Quick fun fact, this standy piece here is 100% solid, and I made it by just bending a spoon down and then gluing it in place. So all of the magnets, like, it is super, super essential that they stay on and they stay put no matter what. So all of the magnets I put on with Craft Epoxy, because once it cures, you're not getting away from it. It will stick. But basically all of the details, so his eyes, his little mouth, his beer bottles, all of these beer bottles on the smoke, those were all put on with contact cement, and the reason for that is twofold. One, much, much shorter cure time, so this part of the build where I was putting the bottles on was something I could do in one evening. And I didn't paint them all at once. I take them in I take it in like small pieces because I want to be careful of my layout. So I did 4 bottles at a time. So it was figure out 4 points for the bottles to go on, put the contact cement, I almost said Craft Epoxy, put the contact cement onto the little smoke, like right here, put it onto this bottle on this side, clearly. Leave them both alone for 15 minutes or longer. I lost track of time a couple times. And then just stick them together. And that was the same thing here, where I put a little on him, put a little on the bottle, and then I jammed this up against him. And so that is how all those little bottles got put into place. And I was able to put them very precisely, partly because you don't connect the 2 pieces that have the contact cement on them right away. You don't have to kind of rush to get it on there before the adhesive starts to be a little less effective, as is the case with Craft Epoxy. With contact cement, I know from experience, I think they say you can do it, like, it can sit there for a couple of hours even, and it'll still stick together. And I've seen that proven. I have. Now, the thing about contact cement, and this might have been operator error, I admit it, this happened to me when I was working on stuff earlier, when I was first working with it, is that I have had stuff come off. I make a lot of flower buttons, and I was using the contact cement to put the the 2 pieces of the flower together. I was having some of those fall apart. I was having some of the buttons I use for decoration fall off. But that was the first project I ever used the contact cement for, and so I think it was an error on my part, because other places where I've used it, I've not had the same problem. And the other thing is that I also made sure I was only using it on pieces that if they came off, they would be very easy to put back on. When it comes to the actual shape of all of this smoke, what I did to get the shape that I wanted was it's all glued to this base with the Craft Epoxy, because again, I don't want it moving. So this is meant to permanently have this shape. And so for that, I use Craft Epoxy. Everything else is meant to stay on there. But, everything's got a good hold. But the other thing is, like, sometimes you can pull stuff off. This one's actually a little looser than I'd like. And the thing is, if I really wanted to, I could pull this off. I would still have the leftover contact cement there. But it's more possible to yank it off. At the same time, I don't expect anybody is going to come up to this and start yanking it apart. And if I thought that that was a possibility, I would have done all this with Craft Epoxy no matter the cure time. So those are the big things for me about how they work, how I use them. The other thing is that I have been using Craft Epoxy to help reinforce zippers. So I would put the epoxy on it, I would press it to the jacket that I was putting the zipper in, I would let it cure, and then on top of that I would hand sew the zipper in, because I had seen proof that my just hand sewing of the zippers was not, wasn't good enough for the tension that goes on a zipper. Zippers take a lot of stress. But what I want to start doing, and I definitely want to investigate, is to try the contact cement as that first layer. Again, because it will cut down on the amount of time it takes to put in the zipper, but also because it's a much thinner formula when you get it on. You can brush it on. This has a brush in it. And that means I don't have to worry nearly as much about what if I put on too much adhesive and then I have to really fight the needle through the fabric, which has happened a few times using the epoxy. And I will report back as I do that. I also have bought the tiniest sewing machine so that I can maybe hopefully start sewing stuff a little more. I'm still not great at it, but I'm practicing. But these are great things that can be very useful if you don't sew, or you don't have an interest in sewing, or your hands don't cooperate with different kinds of sewing. You can you can take these and you can do finishing work on like bags and adding linings and all that sort of thing. A couple of other things. This has to, I think I said this already, but it's worth repeating. You have to put this on both of the things you want to stick together. Because that's how it works. It binds to itself. You only have to put this on one side of the thing you want to stick together because it binds to anything. This is goopier to put on. This is more precise. This is better for seams. I really want to stress that. If you're doing one of my pocket scarves, I know that I recommend this for seams because I tried the contact cement and then I was able to yank the pocket right off. So, much better for seams if you're not going to sew your pockets on. And actually much better for scarf details in general because scarves take a lot of damage. And so that's the other thing. I expect this base and this figure to sit on a shelf most of the time. A scarf you take in, you put on, you take off, you put on, you take off, you throw it in the bag, you throw it in the closet. This is going to hold things better in general. This is going to let you get projects done faster. And I know that that can be a concern for all of us, but definitely think about where you're putting it on a project and how that part of a project is going to get used. That can just be that can make a big difference, the amount of stress you're putting on it. The last thing I do want to stress very, very much, these both smell like Satan's asshole. Open a damn window. Ooh boy, I did not do that one night working with this, and my migraine let me fucking know it. So, be safe. I think we all have masks now, so now you have a mask that you can wear when you're working with both of these, which is great. And please, for God's sakes, wear your mask when you go outside. Please. I have been, you know, we've passed the 2-month mark in quarantine. I have a mask on every time I leave the house, and I just want to encourage you to do the same. I know it's difficult. I know it feels weird. I know it fogs up your glasses. But we will get through this faster the more we take care of each other in these small ways, like wearing masks. So please wear your mask. I did not make my mask. A friend made a mask for me. I also have a mask for my allergies, so that was around. But if you do so, there's lots of tutorials about how to do it. And if you need extra lining, contact cement would be good for that. Yeah, there you go. So that is my contact cement pitch to you all. Just letting you know, I'm using it and that's how I do it. I will see you for the next episode in a month-ish. As always, if you're enjoying what I do, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, etc. I am always happy to receive comments, and I have kind of sort of started a blog at icrochetedthething.com. It will be linked in the basement. It is a slow build right now, but it is there. And I will be linking these videos there. I am hoping to start explaining how I build certain things that I don't write patterns for, but I think you would like to build with me, that just haven't made it into how-tos. So, give it a quick look, maybe bookmark it, I don't know. There's no ads on it, there's no affiliate links. If that ever happens, I will be very, very surprised. I don't monetize these videos either because that's not what this is for me. I write patterns and I do commissions, and my pattern information is also in the basement if you would like to buy one of my patterns. But in terms of this content and the blog content, that's always going to be free of charge. You're not going to have to do anything to get it. I'm going to go. All right. See you guys soon.